Alright, we've got red eye editing on this, right? So just take a look like I'm crying. Okay, one second. I am here to take, is it accountability or is it grok? Hey sisters, I have been growing and taking accountability in my multi-million-dollar mansion in LA with possible side trips to Dubai. What do you mean I'm not allowed to say? I've been taking accountability. I have recently been taking so much accountability that... Hey sisters, recently I have been taking accountability. In fact, I've been taking so much accountability that HSBC recently hired me to become an accountant for their company. So if anybody needs a tax accountant to do their taxes, because I'm clearly out of a job. I've been taking accountability and I didn't mean to do it. Now, it's been a minute since we've spoken about YouTube's favourite criminal. Well, in this case, I am going to have to say alleged criminal, and also, it depends on what subject you want to talk about. Is it the lawsuit? Is it the certain thing? Or is it just his YouTube channel in general? And yes, of course, I'm speaking about Jumbo Jimmy James Charles.
I have missed you guys more than you could ever imagine.
James is somebody that I would consider to be one of the most consistent connoisseurs of being an absolute and utter moron. Somebody that I would now define as a pretty bad person, and somebody that only a few months ago was exposed for being... Well, I'm not going to say the word because YouTube will take down this video probably. But a terrible person to say the least, and here's some headlines to give you a bit of a suggestion of what I'm actually talking about here.
When this all started online a few weeks ago, it sparked a large conversation and many people have shared their thoughts and opinions, and I want to take some time to address literally everything in today's video. But before doing that, I want to make it really clear that I fully understand my actions and how they are wrong. There's no excuse for them, and I don't plan on making any in this video either, and I hope that you will choose to watch it all the way through. I also just want to make a quick note as well that I'm filming this on the night of March 31st. It is currently 12:54 in the morning. I'm alone here in the studio, and I know that when I upload this tomorrow, it is going to be April Fool's Day, which is awful timing because this video and this topic is not a joke in any way, shape, or form. And I don't want anybody to think that it is, but I also don't want to wait any longer.
And this was a very big situation a few months ago, and it of course led to James Charles leaving YouTube. Yes, he left the internet, he left Instagram, he left Twitter, thank the Lord, and came back after 3 months. I know people that have consumed substances that have faced further consequences than James Charles.
Hi sisters, James Charles here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. First of all, wow, it feels so weird to say those words out loud. Oh my gosh, it has been a really long time since I've been down here in the makeup studio, but it feels really good to be sitting here today. I have missed you guys more than you could ever imagine.
And we've not missed you, James. Please, for the love of God, make it not 3 months, but 3 years. So yes, after a bizarre amount of circumstances, expose videos, people coming out with their own personal stories, James Charles returns to YouTube. And as I just said, this is genuinely so incredible to me. And not incredible for a good way. People outside of fame and riches go to jail or face further consequences than James Charles has ever faced in his entire life. And it's incredible to me that after 3 months, James just waddles back onto his YouTube channel with a video titled An Open Conversation. And to be honest, I was personally shocked when I saw James come back to the internet, because I thought, isn't that the thing that you're meant to go to jail for? And you're now getting and making more money than all of us put together. And then I was even more shocked by the fact that his return video, after he deleted his accountability video, his return video got uploaded and it got 232 232,000 likes. And yes, these are 232,000 people that need to stay away from me. If you could identify yourself in the comments section via yes or no to being one of these people, if you comment yes, you are one of these people, and I will soon be filing a restraining order against you. If you comment no, you're more than welcome to subscribe. And also, could we also get 232,000 likes on this video? Because that would be bloody lovely. So comment beans, comment yes or no, and also like the video, because I need them very much to hide away from the James Charles stannies that are inevitably going to dislike this video. But yeah, after James was exposed for messaging minors, he then randomly just went back to regular, I guess, programming, because he just then started uploading videos about baking cookies. And I'm sorry, but this is just so weird and shameless, and it makes it terribly hilarious.
Before we go actually get the cookies, it would be so much fun if for a YouTube video, I tried to bake them myself.
Over here. Hello. Me so glad you're here today because this very special day, it's me first day of new job. Me, a baker. Yeah. And you know what me going to bake? Well, nothing here to eat. So today, me going to bake, you guessed it,
Cookies?
Honestly, when I found out James Charles came back to the internet, I was like, oh, that's really weird. But then I also found out, oh, well, you know, he's come back to the internet as the Cookie Monster. And I thought, oh, well, that's kind of based. And then I thought, oh, wait, no, the crimes he's committed, Fraser, that's really weird and really bad. And it's really confusing to me that he uploaded a video admitting to a lot of serious things. And then the next video is, we're baking cookies today. And the cookies, may I say, look like shit.
Wow.
I just don't understand the world we live in. 3 months ago, he was admitted to what he did, and now he's baking cookies and getting millions. It's hilariously terrible. And I know Jeff Bezos, oh God, I can't stand that bloke, but I can see why he's trying to leave this planet. I can understand. Because this is James Charles's world, and God, can we please just get off this world? Now, I genuinely don't mean to cause any disrespect by laughing at the expense of serious things here, but honestly, I'm only laughing through the pain. But now I have shown you the introduction to this situation. Now you understand how bizarre this comeback truly is from James Charles. Now I want to go into the actual, I guess, secondary response video from James, break it down, and show you how truly terrible this response is. Because some of the things in this video is just so unbelievably crazy and out of touch to me that I just can't help but laugh at this. Because to me, this video was so unbelievably weird. He tries to portray himself in a manner like he hasn't really done anything particularly too serious. He says he doesn't want to shy away from the situation despite deleting his original response. And to me, that is just burying things under the carpet and then re-releasing a watered down version of it. So yes, without further ado, let's get in to this absolutely god-awful video.
As you know, over the past couple of months, I have been offline. After I posted my last video, which was holding myself accountable, I felt as though it was really, really important for me to actually hold myself accountable and take a major step away and do a lot of work behind the scenes.
James, it's not holding yourself accountable if you delete the video where you're holding yourself accountable. That isn't how it works. Just because 3 months have passed doesn't mean that you should now remove that video. That video should be there so people can learn about the things that you have done, but you have put that away, deleted it, because you know for a fact that brands won't work with you anymore if that was on your channel, and you know that you don't want people who are unknown to the situation discovering the situation. This is so unbelievably manipulative, and I am genuinely not shocked whatsoever. There isn't accountability here. It's just somebody trying to manipulate their impressionable audience.
Until I was ready to come back. And the last 3.5 months now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, have been really weird. I've been doing social media for almost 6 years now, which is wild to think about, but I've really never taken a long break to just be away and work on myself. So this time was definitely different for me, but I also feel as though this has been some of the most important months in my entire life in terms of personal growth and self-reflection, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys a lot about that in today's video. I really want this today to just be a super honest, raw, unfiltered, sit-down conversation between myself and anybody else who wants to listen.
Now, for me personally, one of my most entertaining things when it comes to YouTubers apologizing for crimes they've committed, it's always the phrase of, I've grown, I'm growing, I've left the internet for 2 months, 3 months, and I'm growing, I've changed. And to be honest with you, I really don't feel like 3 months is really enough to change in that period of time. Like, as I said earlier, if he'd made a little mistake like he cheated on his Minecraft speedrun, I'd understand that. But James, it was quite worse than a Minecraft speedrun cheat. It was a million times worse than that. And yeah, I understand you can change and grow in an extensive amount of time. But the thing is, I don't believe James Charles has changed. I don't believe he's grown. All I believe is that James Charles merely regrets his actions based on the fact that he was caught out and naturally has lost a massive part of his audience and a massive part of his income. And the main reason I believe that is because, as I said earlier, he removed his original video and has re-released a watered down version of that with this video. But even despite that, this video is also absolutely catastrophic. Just how he started this video alone, to me, is a little bit irritating. Now, if James at the beginning of this video, which this part was at, said that he was reflecting on himself messaging minors in the first minute of this video, I feel like it would have went down a lot differently. There would be more dislikes. There would probably be more discourse about this video, people talking about it and saying, oh yeah, that dodgy bloke is now back on the internet. But of course, James did not do those things because he is smart. Whether you actually want to believe it or not, in terms of business, James Charles is smart. And I personally don't doubt the fact that he most likely had a lawyer writing this video. No, I can't say that's a fact, but do you really believe that multi-millionaire James Charles coming back after grooming accusations isn't going to take advantage of using a lawyer? And yes, that wouldn't be the first time James Charles has took advantage of his power.
I'm actually crying right now and tearing up from reading some of these comments.
But after this, it just gets kind of strange after, coming back after doing something extremely terrible. James says that, that last video where he admitted to doing some really bad things was, it was a miss.
I miss doing makeup so much, and I really want to do a pretty look in today's video. But also, too, when I posted my last video, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I got was that it felt really ingenuine and scripted. And that really sucks because that video was not scripted, but I am really bad at just sitting down in front of a camera and talking. So by the time that I, got the sentence out that I was imagining in my head after 8 different tries, it almost did become a script. And I think that we can all agree that that last video was definitely not a great one. It was a miss. And that really sucks because that video was super important. It was obviously really embarrassing to talk about that in front of the entire world, but I really wanted to apologize to the people affected and also hold myself accountable for the role that I did play. And I feel like a lot of the points and a lot of what I was trying to talk about in that video got overshadowed by the tone and the delivery.
James, I'm sorry, but I shouldn't laugh, but it's so bizarre that it's hilarious to me because, James, I think the fact that your video was overshadowed was not because of the tonal delivery of the video, it was mainly because of what you admitted to in that video. But also, saying that video was a miss. I mean, I don't know if the miss is the right word, maybe an admittance of guilt. Maybe, but even then, after this period of growth, what has James Charles done with this video since he released it? Oh yeah, He's privated it or deleted it. It's no longer on his channel. It's no longer available to the public. It's not there. And I think that's quite hilarious considering this guy for the last minute has been saying how much he's grown and changed. I mean, how much can you possibly grow and change if you're hiding your own admittance and the video where you claim you took accountability? I really don't think growing and then hiding the evidence really is the same thing.
And I think that we can all agree that that last video was definitely not a great one. It was a miss.
I'm sorry, I just can't get over the phrase of it was a miss. I mean, these LA curators, they are ghouls. They have had their brains rewired so badly by the YouTube and Instagram and Twitter algorithm that them releasing a video which got backlash because of what they admitted into it, which was about messaging minors, a miss? It wasn't a miss because of, oh, the content was bad, I wasn't putting on makeup in this video. It was bad because of what you admitted to. I don't think anybody cared about the backdrop, the audio quality. I think it was because of what you said in that video.
If anybody isn't aware of what's going on, within the past couple of weeks, 2 different people, both under the age of 18, have recently come forward saying that they had inappropriate messages with me on social media. One of them being from last year and one of them being from more recent. In both of these cases, I added these people on Snapchat, asked how old they were right away, was told that they were 18, believed them, engaged in a flirty conversation, and then later on found out that they were actually 16.
Now, in terms of that video being a miss because of delivery, I actually agree. Because in my opinion, that delivery was a little bit of a porky pie. Because when you go and look at one of the 16-year-olds' TikTok bios at the time, they had 16 years old in their bio. So I would be a little bit confused to why a 16-year-old would lie about his age to James Charles whilst having their age in their bio on TikTok, where they have a significant presence, and James Charles has definitely seen it, in my opinion. I don't understand how he could slide in his DMs and not check out his platforms. That to me makes no sense. That video was a miss, James, because in my opinion, you are lying and manipulating.
In both of these cases, I added these people on Snapchat, asked how old they were right away, was told that they were 18, believed them.
Now, there was a lot of debate out there whether this person actually had their age in their bio before they came out and called out James Charles, but I did a little bit of digging and I found out that on his Instagram story, his age has been on there for around 32 weeks, which translates to 2020, and now if you didn't want to use that for evidence, I also found some TikToks from last year of where this person is admitting that they are 15, and this was way before this situation. So it's not really like this guy is trying to hide his age. There was another one of where he was admitting he was 14 in 2019. If he was trying to hide his age, he was doing a very bad job at it, but also it took me about, I don't know, 10 seconds, if that, of scrolling to find his age, and it's in his bio as well, but if you wanted to find it on TikToks, it is right there. So no, I just do not believe James Charles, and even if he was telling the truth, he has the responsibility of a massive celebrity to at least do some research, get some identification before you start flirting with somebody who is visibly young. Which moves us on to the fact that in this video, James just starts putting on makeup, and I'm so confused. In a video where he readdresses the situation, he's just like putting on makeup and saying, oh yeah, you know, I mean, people were saying I was grooming those kids, and now I'm putting on my contour, but I didn't groom those kids, but you know, maybe I messaged them, but I didn't. This website, it's got to a place where I really don't think we can come back from it. I really think that, oh my god, we have hit rock bottom on this platform.
First of all, I feel like calling this a scandal in the first place is just not an appropriate word to be.
On this channel, I speak about so many specific situations and so many specific curators in places where I think they need to take accountability, in places where I really think they need to learn and grow. But in this situation, naturally, it's way more serious than most things I speak about. It's not YouTube drama, it's crimes being admitted to. And I can laugh and I can joke because I just find it so absurd and so ridiculous. But to be honest with you, it is kind of worrying. Curators are now so out of touch that even when they've committed these horrible things, they clearly believe that they can get away with it because he has come back to the internet. He is regularly uploading videos like nothing has happened, but even in the videos where he addresses it, he is doing absurd things like putting on makeup. And I just need to reiterate how crazy this is. It is like the equivalent of if somebody went to a court case where they were getting charged for something disgusting and they just randomly started applying contour. I mean, just think about this for a second, people. How mental this is.
And that really, really sucks. And that's why I uploaded that video, because I felt as though it was really important for me to hold myself accountable, give people an explanation as to what went down, and most importantly, apologize to the people that were actually affected by my actions. One of the responses that I saw quite a lot on social media and in the comments of that video was a lot of people I felt like this is just another James Charles scandal that I could easily move on from like nothing ever happened. And I really feel as though it's important for me to just address right away that that is absolutely not the case in any way, shape, or form, and that could not be further from the truth.
I'm sorry, Jimbo, but you left the internet for 3 months and came back as the Cookie Monster.
Matters the most. I think we should try the crumble one first. This is just another James Charles scandal that I could easily move on from like nothing ever happened. And I really feel as though it's important for me to just address right away that that is absolutely not the case in any way, shape, or form, and that could not be further from the truth.
It's pretty delicious.
But also with this whole 3 months thing, I am a little bit confused to why he's acting like he's been on this religious pilgrimage. He's gone on this big experience, this big quest, this big journey of where he's found the inner peace inside his soul. I'm sorry, but as I keep saying, with this whole 3 months thing, it's not like he was in a jail cell for 3 months. It's not like he was facing some form of consequences for his actions. I think we all know that James either went on a nice holiday to Barbados, because these LA curators love going on holiday during a you-know-what, but also, even if he didn't do that, he was probably kept up nice and comfy in his $1 million mansion. I'm sorry, but I just don't feel sorry for this guy whatsoever. I don't understand why a lot of people are acting like James has changed because he was forced to leave the internet for 3 months. Like, James didn't optionally do this. I think if James could have, he would have just stayed on the internet uploading his shitty little makeup tutorials of where, I don't know, oh, I'm putting contour on my face today, guys, for the 6th millionth time. No disrespect to makeup YouTubers, just pure disrespect to James Charles. A lot of makeup YouTubers out there are actually wonderfully talented, but James Charles, I'm sorry, in this case I am going to have to completely disrespect the makeup community and genre. But yes, I'm sorry, James didn't want to go. He was forced to go, and he has tried to sneak back in after only 3 months. Considering the crime he committed, as I said earlier, people do far less worse things and go to jail. And of course, it is a thing to do with privilege. If James was not a famous big celebrity, he probably would be in jail. I think he definitely would be. But because he's a multi-millionaire, I think he's nice and safe. And now we move on to the second part and second subject of this video. Morons. And no, not the ones like James Charles, but just idiots in general. People that just don't know when to shut up. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, I do enjoy talking about morons, and James Charles most certainly is a moron for a plethora of reasons. We're now going to speak about some particular morons that have been spreading a lot of false information and spreading articles, allegations about James Charles. Because yes, there were 2 allegations which were definitely proven to be true. These people were 16 years old, but then there have been accounts, users, media outlets, whatever you want to call them, that have been misspreading information about James Charles and about other allegations which were proven to not be true. People that had mere small interactions with James which really meant nothing, and this is no doubt a massive problem. Because no matter what you think about James Charles, no matter if you hate him, if you love him, I think we can all agree that spreading false information regarding allegations, or false information in general, but false information in particular when it comes to these serious allegations, are only going to damage the real allegations facing James Charles.
There's basically one drama channel on Twitter that started a thread and started compiling a list of anybody that said literally anything about me on social media. And after what felt like weeks of somebody new coming forward every single day, it eventually became the 20 victims of James Charles. I am not going to go through this list one by one because I know that nobody wants to sit here for an hour listening to me talk about this, but I do feel as though I have to say something because I am just not comfortable with this video or really any video moving forward allowing anybody, let alone my followers, to think that there are any victims of James Charles, let alone 20 victims of James Charles, because that is completely, unequivocally not true. Now, when I say that literally anything and everything was being added to this list, I really do mean anything and everything. There were a few different influencers from TikTok that slid into my DMs or I slid into their DMs and had a 5-minute conversation with them until asking their age or sexuality and then completely stopped responding. There were guys that I matched with on Tinder last year and they had their ages set to 18 or 19, so I talked to them and flirted with them for a while because that's the whole point of an adult dating app until I realized that they were lying, so I blocked them and nothing further happened. One of my own friends is on that list simply because we filmed a TikTok together when he was 18 and the drama channel that was posting this just decided that I groomed him. You know, there's a guy from my high school on that list because he made a video about me, and as annoying as it was, at least in his video, he fully said that it was completely consensual, that we were both grown adults, and that he was only posting it for clout. I can at least appreciate the honesty, but the problem is when it was reported on Twitter, it was a fan comes forward about James Charles forcing him to do blah, 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 which is just so far from what was even said by the person that actually made the video in the first place. But the worst part about all of this is that on top of all of those situations, there were countless videos posted that were completely fake. I'm not talking about somebody unsent a message or somebody took something out of context. I'm talking about conversations that fully never happened, that were edited from beginning to end.
And this is exactly what has been happening. There have been Twitter accounts out there that have been now suspended, that have been posting threads about people that have come out and said stories about James, things that happened between them and James, but in reality these stories were mainly consensual, legal conversations, and this takes away from real stories in the eyes of James Charles's fan base. Now, obviously, when you're a normal functioning human being, that typically wouldn't, because you know in your mind, yeah, it's bad to post false stuff, but at the end of the day, the real bad guy, the real supervillain here is James Charles. But the thing is, this is how he can use deflection. This is only going to support his arguments and allow him to continue to have a fan base and continue to have this massive platform. Because as a young and impressionable fan, a lot of them will see 18 very serious lies and 2 truths, so they will use those 18 lies to convince themselves that, oh yeah, maybe this guy that I've been a big fan of for 4 years actually isn't that bad, and maybe the other 2 truths were, you know, possibly misrepresented, because if there were 18 lies, well, you know, why would the 2 truths be true? And obviously I don't believe that, but obviously there is a cultish audience here, like there is for most fandoms, so I have no doubt that James is taking advantage of that, and I have no doubt that a lawyer has told him to speak about these lies and misinformation. But the thing is I can't criticize him for that, because it is false information, and despite I'm so against James, he does need to address everything, because he has the right to. If you're going to be accused of something, you have the right to, you know, reply, defend yourself. So yeah, the drama channels that have been spreading information that isn't true, have only made it worse for real victims. Now, this is genuinely a very serious issue when it comes to drama channels. Somebody will be accused with a very real and serious accusation, and then you'll get a few burner accounts, a few random small people who spoke to this random influencer being accused one time, and they'll post their story, and then some drama channels will take that as absolute, complete, and utter fact and post it, and then eventually it will get disproven, and then eventually some people will be like, well, if they were fake, maybe the real ones were fake, and it will be just used as a deflection argument by people such as James Charles. And in my opinion, that is exactly why he is mentioning this in this video. James is smart. James knows if he mentions that there have been multiple false accusations around him despite the real accusations, his fan base are going to eat that up. They're going to consume that and justify their liking, their continued support for James Charles. It's really bizarre, but this is such a terrible issue that happens in so many situations like this. So all I can really say here is that can we just stop doing this every single time one of these situations happens? Can we just stick to the facts until the screenshots to prove certain stories come out? Can we just stick to that? Because I think that's what we really need to do here in order to support victims, because I would never want a victim's true and real story to be discredited by some random burner account on Twitter which some random drama channel with 10k subs saw and started posting about like it was the most true fact of all time. So yes, all I can say is drama channels, and yes, even myself, we need to do better. We need to learn from this. We need to take what James Charles is doing here and understand that these criminal YouTubers are going to take anything they can and just eat it up and use that to bolster their agenda. But don't get me wrong, Mr. Jimbo Charles, that doesn't mean that you're off the hook. That doesn't mean that, oh, because one drama channel that I don't particularly like said something wrong about you, that is not a criminal act. Well, it may technically be libel in some... I mean, it's not a crime which you've committed. Like, some serious shit you've done, James. It's nothing in comparison there. So just because I'm criticizing drama channels right now, don't think that means that you're off the hook, sunshine. Because you're definitely not. You're definitely not. And we're going to get into the whole jail thing about James Charles possibly going to jail in the later part of this video. No, it's not going to happen, but we're going to discuss it anyways. But yes, talking about the topic of taking accountability. I went through this video and this guy says taking accountability around 11 times, and I believe the words growth and growing 5 or 6 times. It's these typical YouTuber buzzwords which they just shove in there and think, yeah, if I say this thing 6,000 times, people might start to believe it, because James knows that anybody that's still supporting him at this point is a fucking moron.
Holding myself accountable, actually hold myself accountable, so hold myself accountable, holding myself accountable, hold myself accountable, take accountability for what I did. I want to be held accountable for what I did do. Hold myself accountable for holding myself accountable. Hold myself accountable.
Yeah, I too am also holding myself accountable by deleting my apologies after 3 months of them being up, because, you know, 3 months time. 3 months is a really long time where you can do a lot of things and change your entire... It's 90 days. Lads, it's 90 days. Or around that. 90 days isn't a long period of time. 90 days ago, I was still depressed. 90 days later, I'm still depressed. It's just not a long time. I've not changed much since then. In fact, I think the only thing that's changed since me is I've lost a bit of weight. That's about it. Can we get a clap in the comment section for that? Because at least there's going to be some positivity from this video. But yes, James, you're not taking accountability. You're just manipulating your audience, and in my opinion, borderline gaslighting them. You're just so unbelievably manipulative, it's actually quite hilarious to me. Just because you went on a 3-month vacation doesn't mean that the world's forgot, buddy. It doesn't mean that you've changed, and I'm sorry, but 3 months' time, as I keep saying, is not a reasonable amount of time to become a complete different human being. But also, I think we need to cover the fact of the topic of, because somebody has changed, does that invalidate their crime? No. We don't know. We don't need to go any further. In this case, no. I'm sorry, but no. Now, obviously, though, I am not a lawyer, so maybe I don't have the best legal interpretation here, so I actually wanted to read a few quotes from a very interesting article from The Insider, who actually interviewed a YouTuber/lawyer called Emily Baker, who recently spoke about this case. Now, Baker said that James Charles's video cemented the fact that conversations with minors happened, and she said that any actual prosecution would depend on the content of those messages. Which, to be honest with you, I don't really think we'll ever truly know the extent of the messages, because I don't think James will ever naturally admit to anything that was in those messages, because he could possibly put himself in more legal jeopardy and possibly end up in a prison cell. But to be honest with you, it is interesting to see that she also said that the accusers could actually pursue a civil lawsuit for harassment over this James Charles situation and seek a financial settlement due to the situation. But as I said earlier, I really don't think any of this is going to happen now, because if it was going to happen, it would have already happened. And I think Baker actually agrees with me, because she told The Insider that it's unlikely that any law enforcement agency would actually initiate an investigation unless James's accuser actually went forward to James's local agency, which to me is extremely questionable, because a massive public figure has clearly admitted to something, clearly admitted to a crime, yet the police will only investigate, take a look into it if somebody actually went to them, which honestly is very concerning considering James Charles publicly admitted to these things. Do you want to know what's truly incredible to me? Is that around 2 years ago, James obviously had the bi-sister scandal. The scandal of where James Charles most likely received a lot of trauma from. A scandal where he nearly lost his career, he nearly lost everything, and despite that, despite everything, despite all of that, despite that being a massive thing where his video back then got around 50 million views when he responded to it, everybody knew about it, he still messaged minors. This is a person, despite in that situation you could say that he wasn't in the wrong, you'd think he'd be more cautious. He'd be, oh, maybe I do need to change some of my actions, become more responsible in some situations, because I have no doubts in that situation he was definitely irresponsible. Whether you want to say he was a bad person or not, we can all agree he was irresponsible, but since then, it's obviously just gotten worse. This is a man that has experienced losing his career, but despite that, he will commit the worst possible crimes. And there was a 2-year gap between that. So why am I meant to believe that this person who deleted their previous response apology video has now changed? He hasn't changed. He is a person that has come back onto the internet with regret that he is now making much less money before, less brands want to work with him, and he's lost a big chunk of his audience. There is no change here. There is pure just regret and upset at the fact that he has lost a lot of money. And now, to be fair, as much as I've criticised a lot of people, including his fans and including people that have spread lies about James, because that will invalidate victims' real stories, the public perception right now of James is genuinely pretty bad. I saw a thread recently talking about how James blocked another content creator because he said, well, at least I don't message minors. And yes, I think we can all come to the conclusion that that is indeed extremely based. And also, I went onto James's channel, and despite going onto his videos, there is more of a public perception there. If you go onto his community posts, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, it is a magical place. It is a magical wonderland where lots of wonderful things happen. Allow me to read some comments. Good morning, guys. Check out yesterday's new video where I teach you guys my process for the perfect Instagram viral photo. Mate, you need to teach a tutorial on how not to go to jail, because you've done that pretty well, mate. You've done the Shawshank Redemption, but it's the nonce edition. Actually, no, don't teach them that. I would rather them all go to jail. Hi, cellmates. Today we're going to give my cellmate Gerard a makeover. Let's pretend like the world is back to normal. I can't with everybody's sarcasm. He really came back like it's nothing. The world never forgets. Let's pretend like nothing's ever happened. And to be honest with you, this brings some faith back in humanity. You know, it's very easy to lose your humanity. I mean, for one, you can see this mug that I own and you can think, Jesus Christ, how are we on this planet when this mug exists? And I completely agree with you, but I think these comments restore some faith. But what doesn't restore faith is the American criminal justice system. I don't think I'm the first person to ever criticize it. In fact, I think we all know it's an extremely terrible, flawed system, especially when there are people like James who have seemingly got away with some terrible actions. Now there's the question of, will James Charles actually go to jail? And as I said earlier, I do not believe he will. He's in an extreme position of privilege. He is a multi-millionaire who contributes to the American economy. He is somebody who is a powerful figure with lots and lots of lawyers. No doubt in my mind, he has the best in the world. I think this guy could probably get out of absolutely everything he was possibly involved in, and that's so terrible, but that is just how the justice system works in this world. And that's pretty ironic because, you know, there's really no justice, and we are getting a little bit political here, but that's just seemingly how it works in America and multiple other countries in this world, including Great Britain. But alas, yes, I don't believe James Charles would go to prison. There are multiple news articles every single day coming out about James, a lot of people still calling him out with his interactions with minors. But yeah, in conclusion to this video, what do I think is going to happen with James Charles? Nothing. I don't think that his career is necessarily going to go any more down from here, because at this point, if you haven't left James Charles's channel, you're probably wrong in yourself, or you are an extremely young, impressionable person. There are multiple cases on YouTube where there have been somebody exposed for a certain crime, and they've somehow managed to contain an audience for, around a year's time, until people then start growing up and realizing the person that they're standing is terrible. And I guess in this situation with James Charles, we can only hope that people start to realize that this is a consistently bad person who, even despite in the past lost his career, he then risked it all again in an even worse situation. So in my opinion, this is somebody that can never change. This is an ego man. Sorry, somebody just revved their car at 3 in the morning. Jesus Christ, what a virgin. As I was saying, this is somebody that will never change their ways. This is somebody that will never change his actions, because this is somebody who is so egotistical that they believe they can get away with absolutely anything. Because at this point, they basically have. So, can I blame James Charles? Yes. But can I see why he's so egotistical? Yes. He has a fan base that will never hold him accountable. And if you are the people that have left his channel, thank you very much. I applaud your behavior. I applaud you accepting that this person you used to like is clearly a terrible human being. And look, I completely understand what it's like to look up to somebody, look up to a famous individual and find out, discover that this person is a terrible human being. This has happened with shows I've liked, with actors. Doctor Who, for example, actors coming out and giving their bad experiences with other actors on the show. And it is just something that you just have to deal with and accept, that some of the people that you aspire to be like, some of the people that you just love and watch daily, could possibly be a terrible human being. And as an adult, you need to accept that when it happens, or if it happens. Obviously, you don't have to be suspicious of absolutely everybody, but just be prepared, if it ever does happen, to drop that person, because it is the morally correct thing to do. Just because you love the person's content, just because you love their acting, just because you love their makeup, that is no justification to carry on supporting an absolutely terrible individual. The mic's fallen over. That is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, where do we go from here? Because we've concluded it, and now we're at the epilogue. I think it's the epilogue. I think the prologue's the starting of the book and the epilogue is the ending of the book. And the video is over. And if you want to follow my social medias, it's all in the box below. inabber69 on Twitter, inabber on Instagram. There's the streaming site, which I'm not going to name, but there is that. It's Beast. Please go follow me on there. Yeah, James Charles, I please would just advise to stay away from primary schools. Second, just stay away from children. Just stay away from children. It would benefit the world if you just did that, James. Please, for crying out loud. If you say they're not children. 16, teen is a child. Shut up. Just shut up. This is the part of the video where it's not scripted. Yes, thank you so much for supporting my content. Thank you so much for coming along to this video. And my next video will most likely be in the next 3 days. And if you're watching this video in 6 years' time, hey, how is it seeing every single city in the world flood because of climate change? Is it good? Nice. Thank you very much for coming along. I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye. And James Charles, my God, Stop.